All right, here we go. It's time for some touch-ups and details. If you look closely, you can see there are some rough edges. We're not kind of done with everything. So we'll have some smaller brushes floating around so you can get into some of those details. This is when the really dark stuff happens, the eyelashes, getting right in there around the tear duct, cleaning up around the iris and kind of adding some detail to the inside the iris as well. All right, so what do we want to do first? I'm just going to barely touch in the water and wipe off that water. So let's go around the tear duct first. Let's grab a little bit of that dark blue. See then, and again, I'm just going to do a little bit of a couple of different things and then go into time lapse. Don't want this to last very long. So we can get in there and just kind of clean up some of these edges. Just a little bit at a time. And with this small brush, I can still wipe off a little bit and treat it like a little blending tool too. Little blending tool. And I can take my finger and even do that. That's a real common thing to do. So again, I'm looking up at my resource. I can see that it stays a little bit darker, a little bit longer out here. Again, there's really no water in my brush at all. If you start to add water, it really makes it last way too long, and we're not trying to work with a wet wash type of feel. So sometimes these touch-ups take longer than everything else. Okay, we're starting to get that little fade away and that blend going on. I'm going to add more of that dark blue. Again, any dark color. And I almost don't need to make this eyeliner anymore because I'm going to put some eyelashes right over the top of that. And it'll kind of cover up that eyeliner. All right, so I did a little bit of that. Let's go onto the edge of the iris. So now you have to kind of carefully try to do this with one clean stroke to get a pretty clean edge. I've seen a lot of drawings and paintings of eyes where the edge of the iris has a little fuzz to it. Just kind of softens the edges. Now along with this little brush, and again, if you accidentally go outside your line, you can clean it up later with some white. So I'm going to try to go around this. We'll go around it all the way, but I'm also going to include some of those little spiky lines with a kind of a soft touch. This might be a place to have just the tiniest bit of water in my brush, so it does kind of flow a little bit more. Maybe a little more water. Didn't do much there. There we go, starting to flow a little bit more. And again, we can go back and forth. You might see some samples where there's lots of color inside here, and that's totally great. So I'll go around that more. Oh, where else do I need to go? I would go and do the same thing over here. Let's get that nice and dark. Let's clean up the edge right at the thickness of the bottom eyelid. We'll do that a little bit. We will take some white and try to capture that little tear, that little moisture developing right there. I may have to redo that a little bit too. See, that looks good. Look how easily the white is going to go over the top of the blue to capture the reflection, just a kind of a thick coat. Might take 2 coats, but that's all right. I'll clean that up as well. I'll probably put some a little bit of blue out here to get the edge of the iris at the edge of the of the of the reflection. Right, so we'll do more of that. I'll do that in time lapse. Now, eyelashes. Let's get some blue and black. Get my black back on here. Don't need much. There's a little bit. All right, remember eyelashes have a curl, a swoop to them, and a directional flow, where on the inside eyelashes, and I try to use this paintbrush pretty straight up and down. If you lay it flat, you're going to get a clunky, kind of a wide mark. And I'm going to use just the littlest bit of water again to get a little bit of flow. And remember the eyelashes in, whoops, I have to touch it. Eyelashes on the inside will kind of point toward the inside. And I'm just going to do a few eyelashes just to get the direction going. The eyelashes, as they come more toward the center, will stick up more. But I always try to have a little curl to them. And we're going to try to make some dramatic eyelashes. Go ahead and let them get thicker at the base. See, there's going to have that little curl feel. And remember, what I'm trying to do is get a sense that they are touching the eyelid, coming down into the eye a little bit, and then swooping back up. As the eyelashes come over here, they're going to start to lean out, especially in the center. I've seen a lot of drawings and paintings where the eyelashes kind of point to each other. And again, just the tiniest bit of water might help these eyelashes flow. You have to use that, find the tip of the brush. And again, I'm only going to put a few. You'll see me add more later. And then as they go toward the end of the eye, the outer corner, they're really going to lay down pretty flat and swoop out there. Really try to let that brush lift off of the surface. The eyelashes on the bottom, they do something similar in that they change direction. They are shorter, so be careful to just get the tip of the brush, and they begin on the outside edge of the white of the paper. And again, I'm just going to put a few. I will fill more in. Oop, that one got kind of clunky. And some of these sometimes will point toward each other as they go in toward the tear duct. A little bit of water. They are going to aim in a little bit and be very kind of sparse. Again, I will fill more of those in so it'll get more complete. I think I have a little bit of touch up to do right in here as well. Eyebrows. I'll just do one section of them. I usually think of them as in 2 coats. So let's get some of that brown back on here. Get some of that. And again, the color is going to be not that big of an issue. At first, I'm just going to use brown, and again, the direction of these eyebrows, I need to get some blue in that brown. It's not dark enough, can't see it. Really try to get that feel, like a check mark. So I'll just do a couple, and I'll just kind of show the direction. See, it's actually good that they're not all making the exact same mark. With eyebrows, it's good to do it in a few layers. And see how they're standing up more here and they lay down more over there. Okay. So now I can kind of go through again. Don't paint the eyebrows all in one stroke. So I'm just going to kind of concentrate on this area right here, just to kind of get a sense of how they will build up. Over here it's really incomplete. Going to get some brown. So you get some layers. It's not just one coat of hair with the eyebrows many times. It's multiple layers. Again, maybe a little bit of water just to help that line flow. So hopefully we're getting a sense of the layers. Try not to really cross your lines. I've seen some eyebrows where they go in different directions. But with this one, let's just kind of keep it flowing. Try to make sure the bottom of the eyebrow isn't perfect. Okay, there's a little bit of ups and downs. The top of it there are a few little ups and downs. And it's totally okay if I needed to bring in a little bit of a lighter tone on top of some of those. I think that's a nice little feature too. So they're not all the exact same color. There's a little bit of color variety in there. All right, so I'm going to put it in time lapse and kind of finish off all those things I got started, and we'll have a quick chat at the very end. All right, we're done. Make sure that you first block it in. Don't forget that very first step. Just block it in if you haven't started this yet. Um, and I did, with my detail brush, have to add a little bit more water to the brush, just a little bit, to get those eyelashes to flow and these lines up there to flow a little bit easier. Not a lot of water, just a little bit. And the last thing I did, I realized that that crease up there wasn't as dark as it should be compared to our image here. See, that crease is really dark right there. So don't be afraid to go dark where it's dark, and you'll use many of these techniques in whatever painting you do, whether it's landscape or a portrait or a still life. Any of those kind of paintings, you will use these basic ideas of blocking it in, getting just some of the gradations and highlights and shadows, then going with the subtleties and details last. All right, good luck, have fun,